My favorite thing about playing Mandela is is leaving the theater and people not knowing who I am. I love that because to me that said I'd done a job of separating Robert from Mandela. You know, I put on my Yankee hat and I walk out the theater and then I'm back, take the costume and suit off and now I'm Robert again. And then now I'm talking with the way I talk and not in Mandela's voice. So it becomes different. So it's like, whoa, that was you. Da, 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 da. So it's an interesting thing to see the separation, and it feels good for me.
Hi, and welcome to Artists Unveiled, a show where we bring on exceptional creators to not just tell their story, but to give you real insights into how they went from striving to thriving. My name is Holiday, and on today's episode, we have the honor of interviewing a dynamic individual who's played some truly iconic roles, Robert Greene. He's an educator, actor, director, and playwright. Welcome to Artists Unveiled. Did you ever have any concept that you would be playing Mandela?
Never in my life, never in my life. I remember when I was a kid, there was this whole campaign of Martin Mandela and me, and no Malcolm, Martin, Mandela, and me, all the M's, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, and these shirts that people used to wear back in the day, and then I remember like certain shows highlighting him, and then I knew who he was. But you never know. You never think the people that you're gonna play. I played Muhammad Ali before when I was in Louisville. It was a
I'm
two
afraid
person.
I'm gonna soon learn that you play like all my favorite people.
And then I played Thelonious Monk, Muhammad Ali, Nelson Mandela, George Washington Carver. I even did a play. We did this blind casting bin where we all took turn, men, women, people of all different backgrounds playing Abraham Lincoln. It was this unique play we did with the Kentucky Historical Society. And that's the beauty of theater sometimes, giving you the opportunity. And then the more you play these people, like I was saying earlier, finding connection of self within them and then telling their stories. Like hopefully one day somebody tell my story. It'd be so cool for somebody to play me one day. Just that
You
energy
may
and
even play you.
sign me up. I think I could do a good job. So yeah, I love that. And then it's a challenge with each character, and because it's different time periods, is different energies behind it. Like the when I played Thelonious Monk, it was in a play called The Great Divine for the New York Theater Festival. And the play wasn't necessarily just about Thelonious Monk. So it was fun because I really wasn't the lead. And Thelonious Monk happens to be in this play. The play is really a love story about these four different young writers and artistic kids. And Thelonious Monk is like idolized by them. And then they happen to meet him and he happens to show up in the play a couple times. So that was just interesting, and listening to his records and listening to his rhythm and just finding his cadence and just how he got down. And I had played him after a run of Mandela, so it was just interesting to separate Mandela's accent and then arrive to Thelonious Monk's smooth talking self. So it's always a challenge, but it's always fun.
Is there any crossover where you suddenly say, "Oh, I'm not separating these two characters that I'm working on here"?
I don't know. It's kind of. I think for me first, I have to get like myself out of the way. My mannerisms, my rhythm patterns and things of that nature. And then usually within the first few rehearsals, because I do a lot of research and I go overboard with the warm up, like I really dive deep into it because I always want to arrive prepared. You saw how early I was today, so I always
Yeah.
want to be on time with the performance. So I've done the homework, so it usually comes to me pretty fast. And if you're an actor, you should try to do that because in the rehearsal process is meant to be that where you find a connection with your group and your ensemble. But also within the process, if you come already knowing the character, having idea, then you can expand. So now, like we're 2 weeks in rehearsal, and I'm so comfortable, I can try some new things. I can stretch it out. I'm able to ad lib as the character because I understand him or her because I've been working on it, so it's comfortable to me. Yeah.
So, what is it like to play Mandela?
It's a dream. It's a dream because he's such an iconic person, and it's a challenge. It's fun. It's enriching, and I feel good every time we do the show and people come see the show and it's like, wow, I didn't know this, or I didn't understand that about him. Because our story, you see, we meet young Mandela, we see him in the prison years, and we see him post prison. And a lot of times, society, particularly with younger people, they only know old gray
That's
haired
right.
Mandela. So you get to see Mandela when he had a mustache, when he was young, running around with the ANC, and it wasn't a happy time during this particular time during apartheid. So it's interesting for me, and also even for me approaching it when I first arrived at the role. Going back and finding footage of young Mandela was kind of difficult, but now I have my collection of that. So finding young footage of him, it brought something new to it. But it's like a dream come true. And playing him for so long, it gives me the opportunity to challenge myself. So year one, approaching the script, because I've been playing him for like over 6 years. Year one is all about, do I have the the accent right, the mannerisms, X, Y, and Z, and then finding the connection with Winnie and the other characters within the play. Then year two is like you did it already. You felt so good. Now how can we get better? And now you're at another theater. Oh, what is the space? What are the acoustics in this theater? This stage is smaller. Then year three, it becomes like, oh, now we're getting down here off Broadway. Uh-oh, the pressure's on. A bigger house, more people, more pressure, critiques, X, Y, and Z. And then like you don't want to get bored. And me as an artist, I get bored quick. So I always have to psych myself up. Like now for me approaching it, it becomes more of a mental challenge because I know he's in my body and I know the script like the back of my hand. So it becomes a mental challenge. So this last run, my goal was to listen and respond because acting really could be that simple. Just listening and responding. It's like what you were saying about physically being in conversation with someone, feeling their energy, taking in what they're saying, and responding naturally how you would. Because sometimes if you get so caught up in the script and knowing it, you can anticipate moments and to the audience might not read as natural.
Hmm.
So I really tried to find those natural moments. Like when does he find his soft side? When is he aggressive? When is he just dropping some knowledge to the people? Like, or when is his dark hours where he's having doubt? And also just listening to what the other characters are saying to him about him and just really, really forcing myself, even though I know the outcome, just living in the process over product. So just living in the process as if it's happening for the first time. So that's like a mental challenge I have to put myself through. So in my mind, I don't know the outcome. I don't know if I'm going to prison or not. So I have to play it that way as if I don't know what's happening. But I do know I want freedom and I want respect and rights for my people. And I know I have to get my message across. And I know for me as Mandela, it's up to me to lead. And I feel that pressure to do so.
It's he's just such has been such an important person who's so deeply etched into the psyche of the
Hmm.
world. It's a little overwhelming when I imagine representing that person.
It's interesting. I remember seeing on the mountaintop with Samuel Jackson and Angela Bassett, and it is about Martin Luther King's last days, and the uniqueness about that play because I think with historical people, only certain part of their story is sometimes presented. It's like being a Southerner and moving to New York. You see New York on TV. They always show you back in the day. They always show you the city. They show you a little more Brooklyn now, which is cool. But like they show you an aspect of it on TV. But then when you get here, you're like, oh, there's so much more.
Right.
So like when I saw Samuel Jackson's approach to Dr. King, I was like, wow, I didn't know Martin Luther King smoked cigarettes. In the play, he's smoking cigarettes. I was like, okay, I never knew that. But it humanizes the individual, and it also gives you some layers to play with as a character, as an actor. And then you can just like sniff out those moments and those little whatnots within the character, and it gives you something else. Like for Mandela, I really love the moments of stillness because like he's talking, he's lecturing, he's preaching, he's solving problems, but in the play he has these moments of isolation where it's just in his mind, and then I try to give that with my facial expression or with my body language, but it's all internalized. And those are the moments like if you really in the moment and you really doing your job, you're able to convey those moments to the audience without even speaking. I think those moments allow the audience to connect to these iconic figures because we realize they're human just like us. Mandela cries just like me. He had a rough Tuesday just like I did last week. X, Y, and Z. So each time, like I was saying, it gives you something new. And he's like the character that never stops giving, never stops giving. And I also challenge myself every time I approach the role to try to find something new within the research or something new within the story, just to find a deeper meaning to something that's happening.
As an artist, in this instance, where you were given the opportunity to represent the character of Nelson Mandela, where's the balance between getting an offer like this and a sense of perhaps overwhelm, juxtaposed to your preparedness for
hmm
something like that?
hmm the situation how I got Mandela is a unique one because when it was in his early states, rest in peace to my brother in theater, Lloyd Goodman. Lloyd Goodman was originally playing Nelson Mandela. We later lost him to cancer, sadly. And when I first approached the play, I was playing another character, Robert Mbeki, and I was much bigger back then. And then one of my uncles passed away, and then Lloyd ended up passing away. And I got really conscious about my health and my body, so I started getting in the gym, eating properly. And at this time, it's around, I guess, 2018, I was writing my one-person play Situations that premiered at the Fringe Festival. And once I did Situations, my one-person show, the producers and directors of Mandela were able to come and see it because after we lost Lloyd, they're just like, all right, we're going to put everybody else back in it. Robert, you'd be Robert and Beaky, X, Y, and Z. And it's like a 1.5 year hiatus of them trying to find a Mandela.
Oh,
So shopping around New York casting. And then our directors and producers came and saw me in this new light after I had dropped some pounds, a little more discipline and focus, and just saw me do this whole theater by myself. The one person shows are so difficult because it's just you.
right.
It's just you. So once I did my one person show, I just felt like there's nothing I can't do. And I guess that just raised my confidence as an artist, as a performer. And I think they saw that. And then they said, Robert, you should play Mandela. But it had to sit right for me because Lloyd meant so much to me. Because the first play I did in New York, it was with Lloyd, and I always looked up to him as a big brother in theater. I was like, man, I can't do that. That was Lloyd's role. And I remember just having this moment in my apartment where I felt like Lloyd's spirit's like, Robert, you're an idiot if you don't do it, man. It's your time. Do this. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to honor Lloyd by doing it. So that whole summer, I was rehearsing by myself with the director. We were swimming, working out, learning dance steps, working on the accent. So about 2 or 3 months, it was just me and him working on the script, getting it right. Like I lived with the script. And then like by that September, October, we were at the National Black Theater doing it. And then we went to the Pergonis Theater in the Bronx doing it. And then once I had it, I was like, in my mind, it's like, Lloyd has his and I have mine, and they're both special, and I felt good about it. And then we just kind of took off.
Can you think of an instance when you were developing the Mandela character where you were doing something specifically in the beginning and then you decided later on to change that?
Yeah, his gestures. His gestures are very minimal in the stillness I was talking about. Because, he is an outgoing, powerful force. But those moments of like, when he brings it here, where you really have to listen. So finding more moments like that within his delivery or his cadence or within what's going on. And just trying to listen. Like the first time approaching it, I felt like I knew what was going to happen. I knew these particular scenes and, whatever. But now I really try to be a little more patient with self and kind of let the play come to me, let me feel it. And then also just kind of arriving at where I'm at that particular day and just like arriving at that particular moment. So I guess would be early on, I feel like I rushed some moments because of excitement, because of the energy of him and the way it's written. And then like later on, you begin to find those moments of just relaxation and stillness. And it's a beautiful contrast because it's just giving the character layers and allows you as an actor and in portrayal of this character become three-dimensional. Instead of just a plain flat sheet of paper, you become this cube of emotion and expression. And each time it'll be something different. Um, after I learned in the research something about like what Winnie had to do when she went to see him in prison with the kids, that she would have to leave the children with the guards while she went to see him. Like the first few years, I didn't think about that approaching the scene that we're in. So now that I know that within my research while we're meeting, I'm listening to her, but I'm thinking about, I hope my kids are okay
Yeah.
because I know they're out there. They can't come see me, but I know they're in the proximity and they're with some of these people who hate my guts. So it gives that scene just that much layer.
Tension.
Yeah, that much pressure and tension. And to me, that's what sells, that's what, obstacles and that energy really give characters layers. And the more you can kind of psyche that in and use that, the better the performance could be. And I feel like the better the connection's more believable. So it's not just one chord, it's not one little thing. He's thinking about this, getting out, what Winnie's saying, spies. Oh, my kids are out there.
Right.
So
the gravity.
Yeah, so that's in his mind too. So like putting those pieces together and just so it becomes just a building cycle of things.
The physics.
Yeah. It's just beautiful equation. And each day you roll the dice and you roll the equation. Sometimes like the audience could trap you because like they're talkative, they're laughing, and they're holding on to everything you're saying. So you do that show, and then you approach the 7:00 show, and it's quiet. He's like, "We must suck. What's happening out here?" Everybody's quiet, but what it is, they're listening.
Right.
So you have to like kind of train yourself and allow the audience to be them. We get the post-church people, they've been in church all day. Now they came here to sit down. So you might hear some squeaky chairs. It's not because you was like, these people probably been sitting down all day in church now doing this show. But, they're appreciative, just like that late audience that might have a couple drinks before they came to the theater. And, sometimes we have different groups when the school's there and the high school kids. So it's just a different energy.
There's some science behind that.
Yeah.
Rooms attract different people.
Yep. And we've done it in so many different theaters. We did a run at the Black Spectrum in Queens, which is this massive theater. This is after we had been doing it at the American Theater for Actors for quite some time. So it was the first time we had stepped away from that theater to do something different. But the energy, neither one is better than the other one. But like you're saying, like that room attracts a different energy up there because we got to go way up there, get all what that. And then these are subscribers and these are people who come see theater all the time. And then downtown in the city, you're there with all the other shows. So these are real theater people, but these are travelers and visitors from out of the state and X, Y, and Z. So it's just a different energy. And then depends on the house, the theater, the size, X, Y, and Z. It's a different show every time. And that's what I love about theater. It's a different show every time.
Do you think that there's anything in your earlier life creatively that prepared you for this also?
I think, that's a great question. I feel like life almost prepares you for everything you're going to face if you allow it. Because some days I think we have blinders on and we're not opening our eyes to what we can possibly receive. I tell my students, don't get caught by the distraction fairy. Adults too. You be on a mission, I'm going to do this.
True.
Look at me, da-da-da-da. Come on over here. Here's some coffee and donuts.
I'm
Sit
so
down.
important.
You don't have to write right now. Chill in the house. Don't challenge yourself. So I think for me, it's just like a lot of different things. Like starting out at HBCU at South Carolina State, where we had to do our costumes, makeup, and everything, and then going to grad school to the University of Louisville, where it was a costume department, a makeup department, and everything, where I could just focus on acting. But because I had the upbringing of knowing how to do my costumes and makeup, X, Y, and Z, I was comfortable. It's like, hey, I don't know if he would wear this tie. That's not really the period. So finding the costumes and knowing that world, just like I took a liking in set design because the light's gonna hit me on the stage, but I want to know, why is that light amber instead of blue? Like, how do these lights work? So it helps me to find my connection on stage by just knowing the world of theater as a whole. So that's another advice I would give to young actors. Like, go talk to the sound person, talk to him, talk to the lighting designer, talk to the costume person, see what they know. And then just my southern upbringing and like figures like my great uncle Albert, who's a tall man like Mandela, who just had this energy of holding the crowd with his words, and who had this beautiful stillness about him. So just like watching him as a kid when he's like addressing the family or hanging out with his guys and seeing the look of his friends and the way they looked up to him as a leader, and just being in situations where I was in other groups where I had the lead, and just like using that and applying it to Mandela as he leads, and then just the difficulties of life that life hands you and using those and applying them to what he's facing.
Is there anything else that you think is particular that could help people, along in their career that you learned through the process of working in the character of Mandela?
I think patience because everything's not going to happen overnight, and you can't like get mad at yourself if you don't have it right away. But in order, you know in that patience, you're doing your homework, you're learning your craft, you're making facial expressions in the mirror, you're making sounds, and everybody's like, is this guy talking to himself on the train? No, I'm going over my lines. So always having a moment of preparation. It's almost like being in a school where you're telling your teachers to always have teaching moments with the kids. So it's like if life is your teacher, you as a student finding teachable moments for you as self as an artist. So like, taking off the headphones and just observing people in the park and, just breathing it in and just seeing how it applies to you and how it inspires you and what it gives you.
How would someone discern between preparation in all of its incarnations and wasting one's time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think preparation, it has to be a discipline of self. And if you prepared as self, and you're in a play with people, then you're prepared. So you come in, you know what's happening. Then I'm not gonna waste your time. I'm gonna be on time and I'm gonna be on time because I'm gonna know what I have to do. It's unique for me in the situation of playing Mandela because I'm the leader within the cast as Robert. Let's warm up. Hey, we're gonna have to stay late for rehearsal. Let's get it right. Like I run a tight ship because I just care so much about it, and so do my fellow castmates. But because I've been doing it so long, and because Mandela's the leader in the play, then naturally I kind of emerge as the leader within the cast. So there's a lot of responsibility within that. So it's kind of like, and then setting the tone with what the director has established and the goals of the group. So I take it seriously. So hope you take it seriously too.
What do you think is really important to remember as a creative working with a group of people?
That everybody has a different style, and just like learning, everybody learns different. Some people are visual, some people it's about repetition. I guess also just being open and able to trust. I think in the business it's tough, man, because you might be doing a show where you don't get to hang out with your cast. I think you have to get to know the people. I've been lucky with the Mandela run to know some of these people for ever since I've been in New York. So these people are my friends outside of the theater, and we do other projects together. And if they do something different, I support them. So I guess like kind of knowing the people you work with, and then just kind of trusting this is the way I approach it. This is the way this person does. This is how she approaches it. And I trusting that she knows her stuff, he knows his stuff. I'm gonna know my stuff, and just trying to find our rhythm.
As an actor, what would you say to someone that you think would be really important for them to understand if they wanted to keep opportunities flowing?
Not taking anything for granted. and never burning any bridges, never taking any role lightly or any opportunity, always finding practice. I went to some seminar years ago, and I forgot who was teaching it, but they said dancers always practice dance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Musicians always practice in music. Actors, they just show up and act. So you, as an actor or any artist, because like my perception of being an actor changed once I moved to New York. Because once I came to New York, I started to explore music, comedy, and everything. And I now consider myself more just an artist than just an actor. But like any art, I think that you're doing, you should practice it. Practice it daily. Just have that discipline, like a boxer would or like a dancer would. If you're a painter, paint every day. If you're an actor, read different plays, different scripts. Practice your stuff. Go over different lines. Get in the mirror and make silly facial expressions. And challenge yourself. And just also be available to go out and try. You know.
You've got the world outside, and then you have an audience in a theater,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a world inside a world.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a rarefied atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak on that?
It's a collaborative effort. Like when you come to Mandela, you walk through, you see prison bars, you hear the African music, you see dashiki, not dashikis, but African fabric draped. So it's everybody's responsibility to bring you into this world. It's like a beautiful marriage. How can the light bring us to South Africa? Just speaking about Mandela, because we've been talking about it. How can the sound bring us to South Africa? How can the direction, the visualization bring us to South Africa? Now, how is us as actors going to bring you to South Africa? And it's also, you have to suspend your disbelief. That's what I love about theater in comparison to film. Film's going to pay you the big bucks, but theater is that energy that you're sharing. You're in this room, so you can't help but to feel the energy, and when you hear somebody say, "What?" They're with you. You know what I'm saying? Or you first hear somebody crying, or you hear their laughter or whatever. And comedians talking about they feel comfortable once they hear that first laugh. And sometimes the energy is not expressed vocally, but it's a feeling. Because to me, when I'm on stage, I feel the audience more than seeing them. So I don't want to just like focus and look at them unless I'm doing a monologue that suggests that I'm doing that. But I just want to kind of feel this energy and hope that you're on this ride with me.
How does it differ from an exchange between two people sitting and having a coffee? Why does it feel so different?
I think it's just highlighted by lights and we know what we're looking at because the world's theater, because all you really need is one participant and one audience member. That's theater. Little kids do theater every day. They playing this game. I'm an astronaut. You're a dinosaur. That's theater. We do theater when we're playing with our children. We're theater with our loved ones. Life is theater. I think it's just the fact that you're in the theater and this is what it's called right now. And it's heightened by the sound and then the lights and everything together. But to me, the world is a canvas, like the world's art. You like nature. I love nature's. Nature's like an active painting. I think art and theater is just around us, It's just around us. And just based on the terms of what you want to call it, but it's everywhere.
What would you what would you tell people and anyone aspiring or mid-career as to how to really work on the business side of things in this very competitive and ever expanding market?
Yeah, it's trial and error. I think now we evolved with like the online personalities that everybody is their own business. So if my business is Robert Greene, I got to make sure the business is right. I got to make sure when I show up, the business is present, the business looks good, the business is operating. And I just over the years of collaborating with people and doing different things, when I was in grad school, I was a member of an improv troupe, and we're young college kids doing improv. But we got very popular in Louisville, and now money knocks at the table. Knock, knock. We want to pay you now. And now it's like 8 of us. Now we have to, we split it up, of course. But hey, what if we invest this into buttons, into pencils, into T-shirt? Oh, yeah, let's do that. Now we can sell that. Oh, now we're a little bigger than in Louisville. Oh, Indiana wants us to do a show. Oh, maybe we should have a count so we can rent a van and get to these other people. Oh, now we're gonna drive all the way to Milwaukee to do a show. So it's like trial and error, and you're figuring it out, and then you kind of, the money. I try not to pay so much attention to it because sometimes it can be a distraction. So I really believe if you're truly passionate about what you're doing and you're showing up to do your job, then the success and the money is going to come. But it's depending on what you're looking for. To me, I'm like chasing a feeling of completeness, or I felt good about that. Of course, I want to get paid because I can't live off feelings and completeness. But I think understanding the business aspect of it is similar to what I was saying, knowing the different roles within a theater and knowing your worth within what you're doing and just always being prepared and just having the business mindset that I can't just sit at home and the business is going to work. You have to get out there and audition. If you do something, you have to say to yourself, man, maybe it wasn't my time. Next time you do a production with this person, keep me in mind if you do something different, vice versa. And also just the strategies of business. Like coming up, like I did a lot of work with friends. If I needed a sound guy and I couldn't afford one at the time back in the day, I'll get my friend who's into sound to do it, and he'll do me a favor, and then I'll do him a favor if he needs some voice work. So understanding that and just being the old school, being nice to people, shaking hands, eye contact, being polite, having a nice business, reputation, and just knowing it's a tricky one. And, it's dog eat dog. It's tough.
What would you say? Some people are a little more naturally gregarious than others.
Hmm.
And then folks, and you can learn and you can change and you can modify, but some folks are just a little more reserved than others.
Hmm.
What advice would you give someone like that who?
I still be yourself, be yourself. And some people are better off represented by other people. Uh, to me, I focus so much on the art that sometimes I get shy after the play's done because I just want to leave and sneak out the back of the theater because I feel like I left it all on the stage. But one of my castmates is like, Robert, we have to go out there. You should go out there. The people came to see you. And I was like, yeah, I can't make it about myself, because people did come to see us. So yeah, let me go out here and take some pictures and shake some hands. Because like it's tricky. Like if you really feel like an artist and you want to do that, you do want to just separate it and just get back to your normalcy. But it comes with the job. It comes with the job of being that person. And it's like your commercial. It's like, okay, this guy's cool. Okay, all right, I'll come see him next time. So it becomes that.
Someone has a gig, and maybe they even wanted this gig,
Hmm.
and they're doing it for a while, and they realize that something's not fitting, doesn't
Hmm.
fit for them. Do you think they should just keep at it, follow through, see where it leads them, fight through it? It doesn't feel quite right, but I got to keep going, or should they politely bow down and say, "You know what, maybe this role is for someone else?"
It's tricky because I feel like if it's really causing strain on you mentally and you're not, contractually bound and you feel like for my well-being of self, I have to step away, then by all means step away. But just for me, myself, I don't think I would be able to do that because I feel like once you sign up to be like you learn it in sports,
Mhm.
Robert's late. Now we all have to run a lap. So it's like if I sign up and commit to doing this, then I don't want to let the people around. And the tricky thing about that is like the audience doesn't know. The toughest moment for me when I did Mandela, my sister passed away on a Tuesday. I had to do 2 shows on Saturday, a show on Sunday, then fly to South Carolina on Monday to be with my family. So once I received the news that my sister had passed away, it was the first time in my life that, your gig's flowing and now you have to fly and get away, and family's first, of course. So I remember calling my theater godmother and she's like, well, son, you have a job to do still.
Mhm.
And those are hard words for
Mhm.
someone to take if going through this emotion.
Mhm.
But I did those shows on Saturday and Sunday, flew home, and we had her service on Thursday. Friday, I made sure the family was good. And I flew back Saturday morning and did 2 shows and then the show Sunday. And then once the show wrapped up that later that week, I then was able to release and let it go. But I think just with anything, Frederick Douglass always says, without struggle, there's no progress. So as I was speaking earlier about doing that one person show and being on stage and building that confidence, by me experiencing that loss of my sister who I was dearly close to, and still knowing I had to play this role, just by God and getting the energy to still go out there and do it, it just boosted my confidence level. So I felt invincible after that. I felt like there's nothing I can't do. And it's crazy. Kobe Bryant talks about that as a basketball player. Like, the people in the stands, they don't know if you're hurt or not. They paid these tickets to see you. They don't know what Robert's going through in his life, and they don't. I don't want to say they don't care. Like,
It's not relevant to
it's
that
not
moment
relevant.
for
Thank
them.
you, because they came to see a show. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't sign up for your emotional stuff. So I feel like if you're able to do it, you got to stay committed. It comes with the job. It comes with the job, and that's why everybody can't do it. And I always tell my team, we're professional anglers. We're going out here to catch the big fish. I was like, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's tough, and it's tough. And sometimes I try to use everything in life as a learning experience. So sometimes those situations where you don't want to be there, you stick through it. You might find a learning lesson in the midst of it if you're able to do so.
What is progress?
Progress to me is just ever flow, and this idea of getting better every day, every time you do it. Progress is repetition. Progress is understanding. Progress is monitoring what you did and not making the same mistakes. And progress is just it's so open. Like, it's such a gap, because sometimes we don't know what the finish line is going to be. Sometimes you think you know what the finish line is going to be, but it might be different. And it could be a series of different finish lines, but they're not really the end of anything. So progress is just one of those things you really, really have to trust. The repetition of rehearsal. Even if you're writing, I'm write this scene this day and go back and do this day, figure this out. I'm gonna go sit in the park and write this day. I'm gonna sit in the back of the train and write. So it's kind of like being in the classroom with self, you know, shadow boxing with self, sword fighting with self, doing whatever you can to enhance your skills within that moment of time. You take it with art as it pertains to children. You sit out a bunch of materials, and sometimes I dislike you to go to a school and every cookie cutter art is what we call it. Everybody's art looks the same. So you think about what the lessons you're trying to teach these kids to just be like everybody else, or what does so and so want to do his macaroni noodles? Maybe I don't want to make a smiley face. Maybe this kid wants to make a record player with noodles or something different. So it's just that the process of learning what glue does, or learning where the paper goes, or learning how to switch the paper to make a different shape, or learning what my choices mean to me. It just all keeps going.
This is kind of a sister of a question I brought up before, but is there such thing for an actor as this part just isn't for me, or is there such thing, or is it really just a matter of, no, you're an actor, you work this out?
Some parts are just not for you. Some parts are not for you. I must have been early 20s, and I played Walter Lee in this community theater production back in Louisville, back in my Louisville days. And Walter Lee in the play is like late 30s. He's got kids. He's been through all of this stuff. And I'm like young. I haven't really experienced all these things. I don't have a family or kids or anything. So you're like, oh man, I might be too young for this. But because my size on stage, I might look like I'm mature and old enough to play it. So you kind of have to be strategical about it and, figure it out and kind of make it yours if you can. But then it gets to a place in your career where you kind of can know and feel it. Like for me, now I like to chase roles that are meaningful to me or challenging. And, if something's like, I don't even bother, and then I don't want to waste anybody's time. I'm not gonna audition for this if I know
But
it's not my.
let's look at it a little differently. What about, let's think of commerce and income, where sort of old school here, there were some actors and there was no way they were going to do a commercial, or they would look into the company behind the commercial and see if it was something that they felt was
Mm-hmm,
something they could live with.
mm-hmm,
And then you have theater, and then you have film,
mm-hmm,
and uh, n- so these things were sort of looked at separately, and as time has advanced, you see a lot of very serious actors doing commercials,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of monetary inspiration in doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's still a thing where someone could be like, I know commercials, I can make a lot of money doing this, but I'm not going to sell out? Because ever since the advent of social media and all this marketing and advertising, it just seems like the lines have become very blurred.
Yeah.
What do you think of all that?
I think it just depends on what values you have. Yeah, it's hard to say no to money in this
That's what,
economy. Yeah,
right?
let's be real.
No,
It
it's
is.
a real
But
thing.
it's like sometimes I think value of self outweighs the money if you can allow it to. It's easily to get disguised.
Well,
Luckily, I've been in circles where it's usually it just doesn't. The morals and everything is cool. It's just like I don't think I'm the best actor for this. Maybe it's another role in this, but I'm going to still keep it nice and friendly with these people. Like if you do something else, I'll still audition and come back.
gotcha.
But thanks for the opportunity. I think it just depends on the values, and then like also what stage you are in your career. Because when I was young, like just starting out, still in school, you want all of that because you want to have that experience. Experience is the best teacher in the world today. You want to have all those experiences. So it's hard to say no
Hmm.
because you're now kind of filtering what you want to do,
Hmm.
what works for you. And sometimes you only know that if you try.
So you've played some substantial roles: Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Thelonious Monk. What's the moment, or what's the time frame for knowing that you really have captured the essence of that character?
It's hard because sometimes you feel like you never will because like these people, some those people you name are real people. Even if it's a fictional character, and the writer had an intention of how they saw it, and you arrive at it different. Now that's the beauty of the creative process because you can have input X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's like to me, I try to minimalize it. It's like I own that scene. I got that scene down pack. Now let me move to the next one. And then as a whole, like, okay, that show felt good. It's a feeling sometimes, but it's never satisfied. Because I think if it becomes satisfied for me, then I probably just be bored with it and wouldn't like want to do it anymore. So it's always trying to do something to challenge yourself. So I feel like I never would like just capture everything. But if I can get in this 90% range, I'm good. But if I'm in that 90% range, that still allows 10% of a challenge for myself when I go play Mandela again. So now I can like, let me get up to 93. So you keep trying and pressuring yourself. And sometimes it's easy to get comfortable because this makes the actors comfortable. Oh, I did a great job. They
Hmm.
love me. Now I can just phone it in. No. You kind of have to trust it. For me, it's a feeling. Like I can feel the energy and the rhythm when the show's going great, but I don't want to think too much about it. At the end of the show, if we done a matinee and then we're approaching the 7 and the matinee was great, the matinee's done, let it go. It's time to do something new. So sometimes it's about breaking it down and focusing on what's right there in that moment. Let me get the scene right. Let me, take it one step at a time. But I don't think I'm ever fulfilled completely of saying I have it 100%. But sometimes you can see those performances as an audience and people will be like, man, that was spot on. Like I think about when Jamie Foxx played Ray Charles. I was like, whoa, he left it all out there. But if you ask Jamie Foxx, he might say, I could have did better. So it's just it depends on perception. I want to give the audience a good show. I want to honor the characters I'm playing and the vision of the playwrights as well as myself and just feel complete with the cast of what I'm doing. But it's hard to always say, it's completely fulfilled for me.
Anything, just to wrap it up, that you think aspiring actors and performers really need to remember?
I guess, where's the camera? This is my moment where I look in the camera. This one.
Yeah.
Be
I know.
yourself. Be yourself. Push yourself. Challenge yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. Each day, try to get better. Each day, Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better. Thursday, get better. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't be so hard on yourself. And if you hear the word no, tell yourself, it's not no to me, it just wasn't my time. And then we also live in a society where we can create our own work. This generation's so blessed because they could do theater on whatever,
Right.
online or whatever. I'd rather see it in person, but that's just my cup of tea. But you can also have outlets. And also actors, if you're not acting, take a dance class. Go try to do some stand-up comedy. Try to do some improv. Go see other plays. Go to the museum. I think you have to keep feeding that artistic bug within inside you. And I think the more you do that, the more data you're building, because you're playing people throughout history, different times, time period. And I tell any actor, a good actor knows history. You know the energy of the history, the slang of the history, the handshakes of the history, or the time, or whatever you want to. So you have to kind of have some scholarly skills. And talent alone is not going to just save you every time, because work ethic and people really trying to grind, they'll beat talent every day. It's great to have both. It's necessary to have both. Talent can get you in the door, but working hard to keep you in the door, keep you in the building. Yep.
Talent will get you into the door, but working hard will keep you in the
Keep
building.
you in the building. Put it on a T-shirt. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what I try to live by. And I try not to take any opportunity for granted, because the minute I blink, somebody's coming in for my spot. Somebody's coming in. And then I always think there's somebody out there that's your younger self. There's some little Southern kid that's visiting New York, I want to believe, that say, hey, wait a minute, that guy's from South Carolina, little old 218 Spring Street. Oh, he can do it? Maybe I can do it.
That's true.
So you never know who's watching you.
That's
never
true.
know who's watching you, but you know you're getting watched.
That's true. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was great. I love the platform. The space is so comfortable. I love the idea that you guys are celebrating artists being them, and it's so inviting. It's warm. It's cozy. I feel like I'm at home. So thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Artists Unveiled. Please check us out on Instagram at dimi.app.og, that's dimi.app.og, and on our website at godimi.com.